Shabbat Shalom. And this morning, the Parashat I will discuss about this morning is Parashat Pinchas, and I subtitled it Remembering and Applying the Teaching. You see, I subtitled it Remembering and Applying the Teaching. Because most of us, the understanding is that we hear, right, but we do not apply the teaching. We don't remember. We hear or we don't remember. Remember what I was saying us from the beginning. The theme of the Torah is one. All the from the book from the first Bereshit all the way to Deuteronomy is the same. Even though from the Messianic writing from the book of Matthew all the way to Revelation is the same thing. That is not the single thing there is this: return home, O man. That is it. That is the summary. I summarize it. Return home, oh man. That is it. God is telling us to return back to the Garden of Eden, which is our home. That man, because man was exiled out of the out of the world of the garden, and God wants man to return back to his home. Don't be a prodigal son. Come back home. That everything that the Torah talks about is about returning back to Him, to the Holy One. Our God, blessed be He. Returning back to the source, back home. And so, this morning, you must remember and you must apply the teaching of the Torah. Accidents occur for a host of different reasons and circumstances. Some accidents are lethal and they have tragic outcome, which at times could be avoided, but at the other time are what? Unavoidable. In 1990, the Congress of the United States designated the 1990s the decade of the brain. That's what they designated it. The decade of the brain. Why? Because throughout the ensuing decades, cognitive scientists and neuroscientists have greatly advanced our understanding of the brain. Before then, we have idea of the brain as our elders are saying they know a lot about the brain, but now we have the science, the understanding to back it up, every part of the brain. What does the brain do? The brain is the central computer that sends its messages to every part of the body that actually control the entire body of a human being. So now, as a human being, first time in our history, as a modern man, we are able to understand every part of what brain does. The Human Connectome Project, they name it, a 5-year study was launched in 2009 to analyze the anatomical and the functional connection of parts of the human brain. With all of this ongoing focus on learning about the complexity of the human brain, what can we do to control our brains from causing us to make terrible mistakes and errors in judgment? What can we do, for example, to avoid having children suffocate while trapped in the cars? How do we stop such a tragedy? Because it is you can hear or you can see in the news in a hot day, right? Some parents, they forget their children inside car, and the children, they suffocate and die. So the question is, how can a parent forget a human being in the car? It's possible. I'm telling you, because the world that we live now is so, parents are full of stress, especially in North America, that their mind, I'm telling you, most people, when they drive, I always pray when I leave home. Because people on the street, they are ghosts, they are not human beings driving. Their soul is somewhere else because of the stress. It's just the body that do like this. I'm telling you, they themselves as a human being, they are not there driving. So sometimes there was an accident that we saw, and this accident is so mysterious. I was asking my wife, what kind of accident is this? We can see the car, the trace of the car that passed, but there is a fence. They said this is the road. There is a fence here. And this car was on the other side of the fence, but the fence is not broken. But we saw the trace, the car built out of the road, and the trace on the trace of the tires on the grass. but the fence itself is not broken, but the car is like this on the other side. How did he fly over the fence? Why the fence? Till today I'm trying to think, how can this happen? I don't understand it. The firefighter, they are on the other side. The firefighters are on this side. They block the entire road. So you can see that people, they drive, but they are not there. Why? Because of the stress of the continent. Everybody is running here, trying to make both hands meet. The stress kills. It's too much. So the brain at this time doesn't function perfectly well. So what can we do in this case? The first step is this. Explain a neuroscientist whose name is Dr. David Diamond. It is to accept that human memory is faulty and that loving and attentive parents can unintentionally leave their children in the car. He's saying, this neuroscientist is saying that Dr. David Diamond said that our mind, the human brain, has a faulty part. That how can a loving, protective, wonderful parent just suddenly forget their children or a child in a car, and they lock it and they go, and coming back the child is dead in the car? Are you going to say, oh, she did it intentionally? No, because the brain is faulty in the sense that that woman, that man that just closed the door, his mind is not there. He just maybe let me just run. Boom! He just go. He forgot that there's a child at the back. There are people that even leave their animals, dogs or cats or other things, at the back of the car. They just lock it. It's not that they want to kill the car. Sometimes they forgot. Sometimes their soul is not there. Sometimes they are just a walking corpse, a dead man walking. So he says now that many parents and caregivers are just coming to understand that faithful memory lapse, not negligence, is the overwhelming cause of such a tragedy. It's not that the people are negligent, it's just because there's a fault in the memory. We all like to believe that we are in the control. That is what they tell you, are in control of your life. But this doctor is saying, no, that is not the case. It's also, the CEO of Shark, Mr. Dov Braffman, said, but the fact is this: our brain don't always do what our heart wish they did. Braffman, which is the CEO of Shark Technology, is a company, is developing a safety measure through car seat that will allow a parent or caregiver that a child has been left in the car. I think if we come to the term with this idea that the brain, that the human memory is faulty, we will also begin to understand and perhaps gain insight into some of the questionable parts of the Torah and the Halakha. Halakha is the legal term of the legal part of the Torah of the Hebrew people. So there is some faulty side that we need to understand. That some you just staying there alone or looking at it from the distance, because you don't know what is going on in the mind of that man, in the mind of that caregiver, in the mind of that woman. Yes, they are loving. They love their child. They don't want to harm their child. They don't want their child to die a painful death. But sometimes the mind is just blank, and you don't even know. Before you know it, your eyes open, a tragedy has already appeared. Or let's forget about that. There's some other example where you see a woman or a man, they don't even know their child is in the swimming pool. Before you know it, the child is drowned, but the parent is there. Oh, what happened? Oh, he just woke up and see, oh, the tragedy has already happened. It's not that they want to do that, but there's a fourth part in the human brain. And for us to understand this, we need to dig, we need to make research to know what part, why is this thing happen to us as a human being. A perfect example now, let's go down into the Torah. A perfect example of this is found in between the last week Parashat Balak, and this week Parashat Pinchas. At the end of Parashat Balak, if you read it perfectly well in chapter 25, the Torah relates how Balaam advised of causing the children of Israel to sin through immorality, worked, and as a result led 24,000 people dying in a plague. Remember, he said you cannot cause them. He tried. First attempt, second attempt, third attempt, it didn't work. He said, okay, I will advise you. Remember, I know their God. Their God is very, very strict. He's a strict God. He hates iniquity. He hates sin. And they've already did what? They've already signed an agreement with their God that they will not commit sin. Their God has already given them the 10 words. They handed it over to them, and they sign and say, yeah, everything that the Lord God said, we will do. Hallelujah. Good. Now, I will teach you, I will advise you. And this advice, we will allow their God to kill them by his own hand. You see, human mind. You see how the human mind works. Not giving the man a positive advice. You see, you want to trick. You see, we will allow their God to kill his children by his own hand. And this is what we are going to do. You are going to make sure that you are going to make your women nice, beautiful. They put their paint, they put their pomade, their hearing, they make their hair. They don't cover it, they make it long, nice, beautiful. And when the eyes of the man see, hey, you want to marry. Right? Then your female will not say, no, you're not going to marry me alone because I'm yummy. The next thing I want you to do for me, man, we are mugus. You know mugus? In the African language, mugus meaning dumb. Because when we see something, that blind our brain, the brain doesn't work anymore. The next thing you're going to tell your daughter to do is that you're going to now draw all those men to your temple. And you're going to tell them, before you do anything with me, you must bow down to my gods. Their God will be angry, and their God will teach them a lesson. And exactly that's what they did. And it works. And they took all the men, they brought most of the prominent men. Not ordinary men. This is what you need to understand what the Torah is saying. These are not common men. The men that they drew were Torah readers. Men that know the Torah captains. Men of renown. Understandable men. So he pulled them, bring them there, and they start worshiping their God, and God began to be angry with the people. Let's see. Now, they continue. The climax of the scene in Shittim was in Bamidbar, chapter 25, verse 6. And he said, the judges were still weeping in indecision at the communion tent entrance when an Israelite brought forth a Midianite woman to his brethren before the eyes of Moshe and the Israelite community. Pinchas, the son of Eleazar and grandson of Aaron HaKohen, saw this. Everyone else saw it as well, but the fools rose up from the middle of the assemblage and took a spear in his hand and speared the man and the woman to death. The woman in question was Cosby, but Saul, the daughter of the king of Midian. Her immoral behavior is not surprising. On the other hand, the man who sinned was none other than Zimri ben Salu, the head of the tribe of Simeon. The Gemara in Sanhedrin identified him as Shmuel ben Sori Shaddai. How is it possible that Zimri committed such a major sin in public? That is the question. This is not an ordinary man. You can see the name of this man, their name are part of those people that Moshe sent to go and spy all those things. They are men of renown, wise men. Because most of us now will say, you know what? My rabbi is the greatest rabbi in the world, and maybe that your rabbi that with big heart, with black in his body, is the most dangerous man in the dark side. Right? You don't know. You don't know what his activity, you don't know what he does underground. Right? He will come to the people and open his white teeth. Right? But when the Shabbat is closed, he goes back to his devil, right? To the negative side. You have no idea, right? They say, hey, my rabbi, do you know your rabbi perfectly well? Because this is the same thing here. This man will come to the assembly and open his mouth, but he takes an outsider, a Midianite, and go and worship a Midianite god somewhere else, and come back and open his teeth and clean. No? We need to understand what the Torah is teaching us here. People, they were all there, men of renown, and they all freeze, right? They couldn't do nothing, looking at what is going on between Cosby and Zimri. They were committing immorality publicly in the eyes of the people. So my question now is this: why should this man commit this crime and nobody, not even Moshe, nobody were able to rise up and say, this is wrong, because it's not listed there in the Torah. This is not right what you are doing. This is iniquity. They all freeze. So what is the problem? Why did this happen? What lead to this? So this might be the answer, because most of them might be practicing the same thing underground. So if I practice the same thing, but Zimri was able to be bold enough to do it publicly, why should I condemn him? Because what I do secretly is what Zimri is doing publicly. So hallelujah, Zimri is now doing what? Making it known to the whole world that me too, I can do it too. Right? I can now make my own secret way, make it play public. Because we understood this practice long time ago. In the early 1900s, even though 1950s, they were what? They were gays, right? But they were hiding, right? Secretly, everything secret. Nobody want to. Gays always exist from the beginning. Always. From the Torah, we see them in Sodom, everywhere. It's always. But now, they were under the carpet. They were hiding. But something happened in our days. What happened? I have no idea. And now, everybody can, even publicly, because there is no judgment, right? Somebody brought it up. And then, because everywhere, they can do whatever they want to do. Is that not what they said? If my life is my life, I can do whatever I want to do. So, and because the leaders are doing the same thing. So if the leaders are not doing the same thing, I'm telling you, the follower will never ever try that, because they know they will receive the judgment instantly. But when the judge is the same thing, and somebody is doing it publicly, man, okay, yeah, you are going to be underground, they'll be putting fire to support it. So for me, I think that most of them, the leaders, were like that. That's why they kept their mouth shut and they were watching. Maybe, or their sons or their daughters are doing the same thing. So they cannot condemn their son, they cannot condemn their daughter, because now, if I condemn, no, now this guy is making it public, so now I can encourage my daughter or my son to make his own public too. So that is no problem. Right? So we need to understand this principle. Be careful of whom you see, because underground they might be doing something different. So Pinchas, being a man that do what? That remember the Torah, that listen, that is a good student of Moshe Rabbeinu. He understood the halacha of the Torah, said, no, this is not in the Torah. This can never happen. This will never take root in this land, in this home, in my family. The family of Israel, I mean. This will never happen. I will do what? I will fight for this. I will even lay down my life for this, because Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah of God, does not allow us to practice this. We know what happened the first time they practiced this in the golden calf. You remember the topic. Remember and applying the teaching. Pinchas, remember what happened during the golden calf, because they were doing the same thing. They lost after the flesh. That virus never go away. They're just using medication to press it down. And whenever the virus becomes too powerful that the medication erupts again to the surface. It's like that. That disease is still there. It's not going nowhere. Because if you understand what happened to those people that practiced it during the golden calf and they all died, 3,000 of them, why do you want to repeat it again? That is the human faulty in the human brain. We think that we can continue to do what is wrong to get a different outcome. No, you try it before, it never works. How do you think that you're going to try it now that it's going to work? You're going the wrong way, and you think I will continue to go this wrong way because I'm going to get the right answer. It will never work. You will continue to get the wrong answer because it's the wrong way. When you go to the right way, you get the right answer. Right? That is the idea. And God is telling us, stop. This immorality is not for you. You have signed agreement with me. I hate iniquity. I hate this way of life. It is not for you. Let those people do it, they will receive their consequence. But for you, you are a holy nation. And we saw it in the book of Messianic writing that we just read in the book of 1 Peter. So we are a holy nation. God has separated us from all the people that we will be the example to the whole world. We will bring the whole world to God as God came and took us first. The example for us to be able to bring other people to Him. That is it. It's not hard. Why are we making it so complicated? So, finally, it is interesting to note that the story is divided between the end of Balak and the beginning of Pinchas, addressing the act of putting down the rebellion and seizing of the plague in Balak, and the reward and acknowledgement to Pinchas later. In the beginning of Pinchas, God spoke to Moshe saying, Pinchas was the one who zealously took up my cause. Pinchas was called a Canaan, which means a zealous. You can also say a zealous of jealousy. You know, that he was jealous of his God, right? For standing up for the name of God and protecting the name of God. The answer suggests is that we needed a little time to digest what this action is, the actions of Pinchas. In Talmud Yerushalayim, in Sanhedrin 10:2, it states that Pinchas did not act according to the will of the sages, and in fact, they tried to excommunicate him. Being a zealous required taking great risk because it can only be done for the sake of God, 100%. Nothing about you, nothing about you at all. Therefore, the action was said earlier and the reward occurred later, demonstrating the need to investigate the intention of Pinchas and the purity of his fanaticism, so to say. In the Talmud Yerushalayim, they wanted to do what? They wanted to excommunicate Pinchas. Why? Because they think his action is so violent. Why is it that you think that his action is violent? Because you yourself, who call yourself the leadership, were dirty. Because you are doing something underground that looks like the same thing that Zimri is doing. There are a lot of them that do bad thing, evil thing under the ground, that they come on the Shabbat and start proclaiming the name of God. I don't understand. How do you have the boldness, the mind, the weight for you to come and start condemning things on Shabbat and that the same thing that what you do on the ground? I don't know how their mouth is able to do this or to speak this. In today's society, where it is up to the individual, how they want to live their lives. Pinchas' action will have cost him dearly in our society. Now, in this our liberal society. If they want to be promiscuous, well, that isn't up to them. The live and let live attitude of the Western civilization would have condemned him to be a belligerent act to destroy the choosing lifestyle of the citizen of a liberal society. That's what they will call Pinchas. They say, look at this man, look at this bigot. This is violent, this is evil, this man is bad, he has a mental disease, he need to rot in jail, he needs to be locked up for the rest of his life and die in jail. That's what our liberal society will say. Because they do the same thing. Because they like that. They like iniquity. They like sin. I'm not saying I'm not preaching violence. I'm not saying go and be killing people. That's not what I'm saying. No. But sometimes extraordinary circumstances require extraordinary strength to stand firm. In your society, in your life, somebody is telling you, now, oh, you are a child of God, and they're telling you, I want you to go and do what you know by yourself that it is completely against the Torah. You need the power of God. You need the strength, the internal strength, the spiritual strength to stand firm and say, no, I'm not doing it. They say, okay, you know what? If you don't do it, I'll fire you. You say, okay, fire me. But for me, I will not do it. There are people, of us, for example, not long ago, we have COVID-19. No. There are people that stand firm. You want to fire me? I'm not going to take this. Fire me, I take my bag, I leave. And when the government see that, oh, man, if you fire all the nurses, 90% of the nurses say, no, oh, okay, no, we can't do that. They know themselves that what they are doing is wrong. They know themselves that what they are saying, the garbage, is wrong. Because in the nursing law, they say a patient can refuse what? Medication. So if you say that I'm sick of COVID and I say no, I don't want to take medication, why are you forcing me to take medication? I'm not saying that I'm not preaching saying that taking vaccination is evil. No. What I'm saying is that vaccination is it tested? Do we know that it will never bring a negative reaction later in life? No. Why are you forcing it on people? What you say that you approve that it is not right, you yourself are doing it. Many nurses say, okay, you know what, fire me. I go on my own way. Okay, if you fire all the nurses, who is going to take care of the hospital? Okay, no, that won't work. Let us forget about that. So, they will bring all kinds of tricks to deceive you. They will bring all kinds of systems like what? Like Balaam to advise in order for you to go and commit sin. But you have to stand firm and say, no, I will not do this because it is against the Torah. What's wrong with him? They are going to say. They're going to say this is a madman. You know, they're going to say he is a religious fanatic. You know, they will say all kinds of things against you because you refuse to go their way, because you refuse to stand their way, because you stand on the truth of the Torah. However, God does not condemn Pinchas, but in fact, God actually rewarded him with and his made descendant after him with the high priest of peace. Can Eliezer dismiss? Pinchas' action is not portrayed as one committed through unbridled anger. In fact, no emotional state is attested to him. But God does describe his action as being zealous for him. In other words, being righteous indignation. That's a righteous anger. There was not any emotional that he planned this ahead of time. That he murdered these people. No. He saw what was going on and he said, this is not right in Israel. This is not what the Torah said. This is not what God said. This is immorality. Because of that conviction, boom, and that is it. That will never happen. We will eradicate this behavior in Israel. As far as Pinchas being the only one to jump up and act, this was because he remembered the Torah, the Halacha, the law, about what should be done under these circumstances. Everyone else simply forgot and did not remember what to do. They freeze. This was a simple disconnection from what was taking place in front of them and the action that needed to be taken. As far as Moshe was concerned, he did not forget. He was waiting to see if someone will rise up to the occasion. As the rabbis thought, in a place where there are no men, strive to be a man. I repeat again, as the rabbi taught us, as our rabbis are saying, he said, in a place where there are no men, you should strive to be a man. Moshe was simply waiting to see who and when, but not if someone will act. Right? He knows somebody will surely act. He understands somebody will surely act. But he just waiting. See, let me calm down. because the Torah can never be forgotten. You have to remember and you have to apply what you learn. Because if we don't remember, and if we don't apply what we are learning, then what's the purpose of us learning the Torah? The Torah becomes a vain thought, a blah 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 thought, because we don't apply it in our life. We see clearly from this episode that the complexity of the human brain, including an ability and at times the inability to recall, retain, or apply information and memories, can challenge the core of who we are as a human being. Let us figure out a way to become like Pinchas, to remember what to do when the need arises in our personal life and in our service and devotion to the protecting of the name of the Holy One, blessed be He. So we have to understand this, right? To be like a Pinchas. When the occasion arises, we will be able to arise to that occasion and stand firm on what is true, on the truth of the word. Not, being fearful, not freezing. Hey, my mama is there, oh, my papa, oh, my friends are there. I can't do this, let me just keep my mouth silent, let me just go with them, go with the people of the world. Because if I don't get the vaccination, they fire me. I'll just do it like my friends. No. Yeshua told us, big, wide is the road, and millions lead to what? To destruction. While small is the road that lead to eternal life. Only few are found there. So we saw 24,000 men were slaughtered, were killed in the plague because of people's sin, because of this immorality that we cannot, in one way or the other, just overcome. Why do you want to do this? Well, you know the end result. And that's why sometimes I always watch, I always look. Why these people try to change sexes? Why do you want to change, the family value? We know the end of it already. We know what is going to be the end. So why are you trying to do something that you know that the end is going to be destruction? So to me, it doesn't add up in my brain. Maybe my brain is 40, I don't know, because for me it doesn't add up. Because in history, from history to history to history to history, the whole thing is always destruction. So why you want to begin to bring it up as if it is a normal way of life? No, it's not a normal way of life. It's not normal. So we as children of God should stand firm. The pressure will be high in the future. It will be, a man and a woman can be going, and I'm telling you from what I'm saying, they'll be stoning them. So what are you doing? This is stupid. You need to follow a man to follow a man, and a woman to follow a woman. I'm telling you. A man and his wife will be holding hands, they'll be going on the street, and they'll be stoned. But the way that we are going, it doesn't make sense. We need to rise up and speak against it and say, this will not hold in our land. This is not who we are as Canadians. We are not like this. We know what our forefathers are giving unto us, and that is what we are going to continue. Parashat, Pinchas, remembering and applying the teaching. I'm not preaching, or neither am I saying violence. That's not what the Torah is saying. The Torah is saying, stand up for what is right, for the justice, for what is good. Shabbat Shalom.